Folks, you want to see how scared these Republicans are? Check this out. House Speaker Mike Johnson literally sent the House home early for their summer break. They're going to be gone until September because they didn't want to vote on the amendments the Democrats were forcing a vote on to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. Seriously, they cut bait and ran. Listen to the so-called super Christian talk about this and why he did it today on Capitol Hill.
As you all know, I speak to the president multiple times a day on a typical day, often, always. And what I know about the president's heart on this is that he agrees with everything I've said here today. He wants maximum transparency, but he's also very insistent that we do not subject people who have already been victims of unspeakable crimes to further public scrutiny. And it would be a very dangerous thing to put those people's names out or to do a release of information in a way that is haphazard where they could be easily unmasked. And so you have to be very careful about how you do that. I think we have a moral responsibility to do that. We have a moral responsibility to expose the evil of Epstein, and everybody was involved in that. Absolutely. And we're resolved to do it. But we also have an equal moral responsibility to protect the innocent. And that is a fine needle to thread. And we could all give ourselves easy political cover and come out and do something in a haphazard fashion, but I would not be able to sleep at night because I know our legal responsibility. I understand what the legal standard is, but more than that, the moral standard, okay? So we're going to do this, and we're going to do it expeditiously. We're going to do it the right way. What is popular isn't always right, and what is right isn't always popular. I had an 8th grade teacher tell me that one time. I carried it with me my whole life. We're going to do the right thing here. And the American people at the end will see that we did that in the right way and on the right timetable.
Right thing in the right timetable? That's hilarious, Avis.
Yeah, it is hilarious, and it is so disingenuous. I mean, does he think we're idiots? I mean, really, does he think we're stupid? In what planet would we believe that Trump actually gives a damn about victims? Like, really? We're supposed to believe he had this conversation with Trump and he told him, in essence, I want to protect women. The man who bragged about grabbing women by the genitals cares about that? I mean, really? This is the most asinine explanation I have ever heard in my life. And clearly he's doing this because he knows that they don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to this issue. And far be it from him allow the party to get called out to the fact that they don't want to bring in any sort of specific information that would allow them to determine what's actually going on here. So, he wants to make it sound like they're being chivalrous, but we know who we're talking about. We know exactly the type of man that Donald Trump is. He has never shown any sort of moral fortitude when it comes to protecting women in any way, shape, or form. In fact, if anything, he's only shown himself to be the predator that now he's protecting by hiding behind this effort to not actually call anyone to task to find out what's at the bottom of all this in terms of these Epstein files.
So here's what I find to be just hilarious about all of this, Mustafa, is, again, the super Christian himself, Mike Johnson. His, I don't like this. But they're just scared. And what gets me is I thought this is the party of family values. Why is it they're so afraid to release everything? They love talking about release everything about Russia and the so-called hoax. Release everything. We're not going to release everything. This is like, we need to protect the victims. What's the last count, Mustafa? 22 different women have come out publicly and talked about what happened to them. So what exactly new names have to be protected?
There are none that we know of course. When the speaker, makes those ridiculous statements, I think about the words of Ida B. Wells when she said the way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth on them. So if you're serious about making sure that truth is being told and that we're addressing these impacts that have happened to these women and girls, then turn the light on. right? Make sure that you are releasing this information. Here's the other thing, Roland, is really interesting. So they ran on this particular issue as a part of their platform. So if you're running on something, that would mean on day one, you should already be putting together, the elements that are necessary to move forward, whether it is in the House or the Senate or what's going on in the White House. So there's something that is foul in relationship to what's going on. The last thing I'll say, and I'm sure some people will have something to say about it, and that's all right, is that we got a whole lot of faux Christians running around, FAUX, who don't live up to the values that the Bible teaches. They just need to stop faking the funk. They need to also understand that this is not going away. And that they are going to have to address it, because it doesn't matter if you're talking about folks in Appalachia, they talking about this. They want to know what's going on. Folks down south want to know what's going on. Folks in the Midwest want to know what's going on. And folks on the West Coast want to know what's going on. So no matter where you go in this country, you are not going to be able to escape the accountability that folks are asking for, both Democrats, Republicans, and independents.
Michael, Obama did release a statement saying, out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House with a response. But these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous in a weak attempt at distraction. Well, Michael, here's what Democrats should do. This is how, okay, so they come back in September, introduce amendments again. And then in October, do it again. In November and December, in January and February, I would completely shut the House down. I would say ain't nothing moving until we vote on these amendments to piss Mike Johnson off, to piss all the Republicans off every single month. Because, see, I just believe the same thing in the Senate. After Cory Booker and all of them walked out of the Judiciary Committee, they're going to push through the nomination of Emil Bove. And you know what I say do? Okay, that's what y'all want to do? Not a problem. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to shut everything down. Democrats do not get ahead, to me, if they play nice. This is where you go hardcore and you hit them with everything.
Agreed completely. As you and I have talked about on several occasions, kind of sick and tired of bringing a knife to a gunfight. And these folks need to be dealt with accordingly. And the good thing about these particular amendments that may come out, or the discharge petitions on the Epstein files, is that they do have Republican support. That's really why Speaker Johnson, I don't even know why we call him Speaker, because the Congress has completely stepped backwards with their responsibility. But Mr. Johnson knows that there are Republicans in those numbers. Because if he knew he had the numbers, he would have put it up and it would fail. And he would say, see, we put it up and the American people clearly didn't want it. It's because of those Republicans that are, and they're strong. Congressman Massey is not moving. I think he may even be a co-sponsor of the discharge petition. So Mr. Johnson is doing what he's being told to do from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And frankly, that's how he's led the House. He's always had challenges with his numbers. We know the margins are thin, but nonetheless, he still does. And because everyone, when Elon Musk, I think we've all forgotten, he started all this. Now, clearly, for years it's been out there, but he really brought it back to the forefront. And now I think some of those chickens are coming home to roost. They started with all these conspiracy theories. They ran on it, as Mustafa said, and now all of a sudden, their base, their constituents are like, okay, now let us see. The problem is we don't know where, who may be involved in some of those documents. That's what they're protecting. That's who Mr. Johnson's protecting. And we'll have to see what happens, obviously, after Labor Day.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.